Hello everyone, welcome to the Hockey Hub. I'm Brennan and today we're doing another team preview and we are looking at the New Jersey Devils. Now the New Jersey Devils had a disappointing season. They ended up trading out Taylor Hall, but they did get a decent package back for him. New Jersey ended up, making some off-season additions and maybe has some aspirations of contending, but it's going to be hard since they are in the division of death with teams like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Boston, and Washington, and the Islanders. But we are going to start off with what they added though. Now, the New Jersey Devils weaponized some of their cap space, and they traded for Ryan Murray. Now, all they had to give up was a fourth-round draft pick, and I think that this is very good value for the New Jersey Devils. Ryan Murray has struggled with injury issues, but that being said, if he's able to stay healthy, he's still a really good second-pairing defender, and I think that he's definitely going to help shore up that defense there. They also traded for Andreas Johnsson from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Johnsson is a good middle six forward, does have 20 goal upside to go along with a strong two-way game. So I think that those two guys are going to fit in very well in New Jersey. But they also ended up signing Dmitry Kulikov to once again help out that defensive core. Now I do think that Kulikov is nothing more than a bottom pairing defender at this point in his career, but that being said, he still can provide some good physicality and good defensive awareness. They signed goaltender Corey Crawford to kind of work as a tandem with Mackenzie Blackwood. I do think that this is a very good pickup for the New Jersey Devils. Crawford is still a decent 1B goaltender at this stage in his career, not really a bona fide starter, but that's not what they were looking for. I do think that Crawford was kind of a perfect addition for the New Jersey Devils and should fit in very nicely and really help insulate the New Jersey Devils and Mackenzie Blackwood. Now, New Jersey did let a couple of depth guys go, with the likes of Marco Mueller and John Hayden. Those aren't necessarily big losses, and I don't think that that's going to impact their lineup all that much. They also elected to buy out Corey Schneider. Schneider has been brutal for the last couple of years for the New Jersey Devils, and it was kind of surprising since Schneider in his prime was actually a very good goaltender for the New Jersey Devils, and arguably top 10 in the league. He gave New Jersey a lot of good seasons there, so I do think that Schneider's overall time in New Jersey was a successful one and should be looked back upon, pretty well. But he was definitely brutal, went an entire year without winning a game, so it's of little surprise that they decided to buy out his massive contract. They also had to trade away a young forward in Joey Anderson to get Andreas Johnsson. Anderson does have middle six upside, but I do think that New Jersey got the better player with Andreas Johnsson. So, but losing Anderson does hurt a little bit, but not all that much. Now, New Jersey has a really interesting top six when you look at it on paper. Jesper Bratt actually had a really good year and is one of the more underrated young players in the NHL. He's currently a restricted free agent at the time I'm filming this video, so it is going to be interesting to see what they elect to do with him. They should definitely try and re-sign him and keep him around long term. I do think that Bratt is quite good, but then there's also Kyle Palmieri. Now, Palmieri could be a guy that ends up getting sold at the trade deadline if New Jersey isn't looking like a contender. He has been a New Jersey Devil for a very long time and is one of the more underrated players in the NHL. He was an all-star once and has that 30 goal upside over an 82 game schedule, so I do think that Palmieri is a very good forward for the New Jersey Devils. Now there's also Nikita Gusev, who was brought in from the KHL and had very big expectations that he didn't exactly live up to in his first year playing for New Jersey. That being said, he was decent. He was still a good second line scoring winger, and I think that another year playing under North American ice should help out Gusev's overall game, and he could end up actually being a very good offensive forward for the New Jersey Devils. I do think that Andreas Johnsson is going to be given a bigger opportunity to play in this top six with the New Jersey Devils. I think that Johnsson could end up being a 20 goal scorer, not over a 56 game schedule. 56 games, maybe look for around 14 goals from Johnsson, but I do think that he's going to get a big opportunity playing with one of the two young centers there in Nico Hischier or Jack Hughes. Hischier has been very good in his first 2 years in the NHL. Not a star forward by any means, but a really good two-way forward whose game continues to grow, and I do think that he probably has a Selke trophy in him at some point in his career. Jack Hughes is an interesting case, though. The first overall pick in the 2019 draft did not have a great rookie year. I don't think that it was as bad as some people were saying. He was getting chances, he was generating offense, but the points didn't exactly come just yet. I do think that Hughes will have a much better year offensively next year, but I'm not necessarily sure how much better. He's still young, he's still on the smaller side, but I do think that Hughes in his prime will be a good player, but for now I'm not necessarily sure how good of a sophomore year that he's going to have. Probably not going to be worse than his rookie year, since his rookie year wasn't the greatest. Now, the top four for the New Jersey Devils is actually pretty solid. Will Butcher and Damon Severson are two really good young defenders. Butcher is more of an offensive defenseman. Severson is a good two-way guy. I don't think that either of these guys are necessarily top pairing guys just yet, but there is prospects in the New Jersey system that could turn out to be that. PK Subban had a brutal year his first year in New Jersey, although Subban was pretty bad, on both sides of the ice, really. Didn't provide a lot offensively, and obviously Subban has never been good in his own end. So New Jersey is really going to have to count on Subban to have a bounce-back year, but I think that Ryan Murray, as long as he's healthy, slots into this top four as well. So this top four doesn't exactly have a star anymore. I don't think that PK Subban is a star, but it has really solid defenders as long as PK can bounce back and Murray can stay healthy. So even though that these guys are solid, I would say that they're all top four guys. It kind of depends if they're able to bounce back or stay healthy. So there is a lot of questions about this top four, but if they're able to, be consistent, I do think that it is actually a pretty good top four. Now, goaltending for the New Jersey Devils is definitely a strong point of this lineup. Mackenzie Blackwood is one of the best young goaltenders in the NHL, and it shocks me that not a lot of people necessarily know about him. Blackwood is so good in even his first year, and actually put up similar numbers to Carter Hart playing on a much worse team. I do think that Blackwood is going to be a top 10 goaltender in the league at some point in his career. If he has another really good year, he could already make an argument for that. Blackwood keeps New Jersey in every game and is a real key piece for them moving forward, but having Corey Crawford to back him up and kind of split starts with him makes for a really good tandem. I do think that Crawford still has a few years of being a solid goaltender left in him, so I think that this tandem moving forward is actually a very underrated one and has the potential to be one of the best in the NHL, especially if Blackwood continues to progress forward. Now, as far as the core five goes for the New Jersey Devils, I wouldn't exactly have Jack Hughes in here just yet. Although I think Hughes is definitely going to push himself into this conversation really soon, I don't think that he's shown enough in his rookie year to have him in here, so I would probably have Jesper Bratt, Damon Severson, Mackenzie Blackwood, Nico Hischier, and Paul Palmieri. Palmieri, we previously talked about, he's just a really good forward, a good goal scorer. Hischier is young and only getting better. He's the top-line center there for now and could still end up being the top-line center years from now. He brings a very strong two-way game and is one of the best young two-way centers in the NHL. Mackenzie Blackwood has, star starting goaltender upside. Jesper Bratt's been quite good, and Damon Severson is probably New Jersey's best overall defender. So this core five is actually very young, and I do think has a lot of potential moving forward. New Jersey does have a bright future. I just don't think that the present is going to be so great. Now, a few players that I want to talk about. I do want to talk about the recent first-round draft pick, Alexander Holtz. Now, to me, I think Holtz was a perfect pick for the New Jersey Devils. He should slot in on the right wing alongside a guy like Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier and should be an instant goal-scoring threat. I don't think that he plays this season, but he probably steps in his second year, and I think that he's going to be, maybe a dark horse for Rookie of the Year if he, has another year to develop in the SHL. So I really like the addition of Alexander Holtz, getting him in the draft. I think that was a perfect draft pick for the New Jersey Devils. I also want to talk about Ty Smith, another young good prospect for them. Ty Smith does have the potential of being maybe even a top pairing defender and should definitely help answer some of these D-core questions when it comes to the New Jersey Devils. I think that Ty Smith is going to play this year probably in a bottom pairing role alongside a guy like Dmitry Kulikov, where he's able to just work on his game and grow a little bit, and I think as soon as 2 or 3 seasons from now, he's probably going to end up being maybe even on that top pairing for the New Jersey Devils. And then I want to get into talking about Jack Hughes again. Now, Jack Hughes, a lot of people are labeling him a bust, and I think that's completely unwarranted. He's only played 1 year, and for a young player to say that they're a bust after only 1 year, I think is completely ridiculous. Steven Stamkos didn't have a great rookie year for a first overall pick either, but Stamkos has still been a pretty good player at the NHL level. So I think that people calling Jack Hughes a bust need to give their head a shake. Hughes is still probably going to end up being a decent player. I do think that Quinn Hughes might end up being the better Hughes, but that being said, it's way too early to call Jack Hughes a bust, so just stop. He's not a bust, and he's probably going to have a good second year. As far as the category goes for the New Jersey Devils, I would still say that they're a rebuilder. I think that playing in that division, they're probably going to end up last in all honesty. Blackwood is going to keep them in a lot of games, but I can't see them passing teams like Washington, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and the two teams in New York. So I do think that it's probably going to be a tough year for New Jersey, but a few seasons from now they could be pushing for a playoff spot. I do think that Blackwood is that good, and they have a very good young nucleus of players such as Hughes, Heischer, Smith, and then you've got guys coming in like Holtz and everything. So I do think that New Jersey does have a bright future, but for right now I can't see them making the playoffs. But that does it for today's video. I appreciate you guys watching till the end. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.